We're going to continue this wonderful presentation series now again with the Father's life. And having heard parts of this in Prague, I can tell you it really goes deep. It really goes deep. So, and I know sometimes, especially after lunch, that it may be a little bit of a challenge to keep those eyelids a little more wider. But anyway, it's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And you'll find it can really make an impact. It will really make an impact on your life, you know, and understanding about true parents. I think that when he spoke, you know, about the father's second wife, for some of you, this was something that was new. Are we? Wait, can we pull the table? Okay. Maybe also pull the table over, push the table over a little bit closer. Because this will be a problem also with the sound. Anyway, so yeah, this you know, is an incredible story that what true parents had to go through, what Father had to go through to establish the true family ideal, you know, and you know, he had, on the one hand, he had to deal with his own personal foundation, you know, establishing the true family, and yet he had a whole world also to save, you know, and he had, you know, nothing, no money, no people, you know, practically, and yet all of this was ahead of him to save the whole world. But without establishing the blessing, he could not do anything. Nothing would be successful. So it really, personally, I find, helps me, you know, to really feel deep sympathy and understanding towards true parents' situation. So let's really welcome again Reverend Young for this afternoon lecture.
자, 8번 해주세요. 차트. 여기서부터 예수님을 보내기 위한 섭리사 1강에서 8번. 그거 정리해서 주시면 지금은 못하더라도. 자, 첫 강의에서 메시아가 될 수 있는 첫째 조건, 하나님의 직계 아들로 왔다라고 하는 혈통 전환의 과정에 대해서 설명을 했습니다. 예, 여러분들 아주 구약성서의 전체적인 것을 다 공부했다고 해도 과언이 아닙니다. 자, 그래서 이번 시간에는 메시아가 될 수 있는 두 번째 조건에 대한 메시아성의 포인트를 맞춰서 섭리사 1강에 나오는 그 8번째 카트부터 주제별로 좀 강의를 하겠습니다. 자, 메시아가 되려면 두 번째 객관적인 증거가 있어야 됩니다. 그 객관적인 증거가 하나님이 보내셨다라고 하는 증거가 뭐가 있느냐. 자, 1차 아담과 2차 아담 예수와
So the first Adam, the second Adam, and the third Adam, our true Father, they do have one same.
첫째 공통점은
They have similarities as well as the same mission.
예수 1차 아담 16세 이전을 여러분 생각해 보세요.
So think about Adam when he was 16.
아담 16세 이전.
So before 16.
16세 이전을 비교해 보면
And think about the third Adam as well before he was 16.
자,
It's really
1차
similar.
아담은
So the first Adam,
16세 이전에 무엇을 했죠?
before he was 16 years, what did he do?
하나님이 만들어 놓은
So
환경을 연구했습니다.
So he basically
자연만물을
went round and was
통해서
looking at the creation.
거기서 느낌을 받고
So he was feeling for the creation.
자연 만물이 조화를 이루고
He tried to understand
작용하는 그
and
내용들을
know.
1차 아담이
he
느꼈어요.
started to learn about the creation. So that's what
그러니까
he was doing.
해와와 관계를 더 깊게 하지 않고
So there was no real deep relationship between him and Eve.
자연 만물에 관심이 많았다라고 하는 것을 우리는 잘
He
알고
was more
있습니다.
interested in the creation.
자, 2차 아담 예수는 어떨까요?
Now, what do you think about the second Adam, Jesus?
성경에 보면
If you look at the
16세
Bible, before he
이전에
was 16
예수님의
years,
자라난 환경을 말하고 있는 부분은
where in,
목수의 아들 요셉의
when
아들로
he was before he was 16, they talk about him. He was the child of a carpenter. So basically, he was studying with his dad, and he was also studying about different things.
예수님이 등장을 하죠.
After he was 16,
예수님이 회당이나 교회에
then
가서
he tried to know a bit more about his mission. So he went to church and temples.
16세부터 예수님이 달라진 내용은 나오는데
So it gets a bit different after he was 16. But before, no, there's not so much about him. So what do you think he did?
1차 아담과 똑같이
So just like the first Adam, he was searching and trying to understand the creation.
아버님은 어떨까요?
So what do you think about the third Adam, who is our true father?
만화로 된 것도 보고 그러셨잖아요.
So
뱀장어도 잡으시고
what do you think?
뭐 새들이
He was looking at how the birds lived. He was looking at the environment. He was trying to know more about the environment.
그 새끼들을 어떻게 키우는지
He was looking how different animals were growing
성장하는지
and how they were
이런 자연
living.
만물을 3차 아담
So basically, that's exactly what the third Adam, our true father, did before he was 16 years old.
사모님 16세 때
So when he was 16,
1935년 부활절 날
in 1935, when he got his revelation from Jesus,
메시아의 길을 본격적으로
he started living the path of the Messiah.
타락한 인류를 구원하기
So basically, which is working on how to restore humankind, fallen humankind.
1차 아담,
The first Adam,
2차 아담 예수님과
second Adam, Jesus, and the third Adam, our true Father.
때까지의 노정
Until they were 16 years old, they did exactly the same thing.
여러분들도 발견하셨습니까?
So did you do the same? Did you do this?
그래서 4대 성인이 있지만
So
예수님만이 하나님의 아들인 이유가 혈통 전환의 근거 두 번째는 아들로 와서 행위를 한 내용이 1차 아담, 2차 아담, 3차 아담
So basically,
놓고 볼 때
if you look at they have the same mission, but if you look at the first, second, and third Adam, they were different people.
이제 이 그 메시아를 보내기 위해서는
So in order to send the
환경 창조를 해놓고 보낸다라고
in order to send.
앞에서 했습니다. 첫 강단.
Sorry, I have the wrong slide.
그래서 씨는 하늘이 준비한 기반을 갖고 계시고
So
이 환경이 준비되면 언제든지
if the seed is ready,
보낼 수
then
있도록
and the environment is ready, then God will be able to send the right person.
그럼 환경 창조를 안 해놓고 하나님 메시아를 보내느냐? 아닙니다.
So do you think that the Messiah, God will send actually the Messiah before the environment is ready? No.
6일 동안 환경을 다 창조해놓고
So
그 아담 해와가 먹고 마시고 살 수 있는 환경을 먼저
So basically, he's going to arrange an environment in which he did arrange an environment so that the first Adam could come. He created the humanity in 6 days.
2차 아담 예수님은
And the second Adam, Jesus,
어떤 환경을 만들어 놓고
in what kind of environment did he send him?
보내셨을까요? 2차 아담 예수님은 하나님의 직계 아들로 왔는데
So Jesus came as the child of God, but how did he come? The environment was ready,
환경을 만들어 놓고 2차 아담을 보내셨어요.
and the environment was ready, and so he sent.
아담이 인류를 구원할 수 있는
So he sent
환경권을 만들어 놓고 보내신다 이거예요.
He sent Jesus in an environment that was quite ready for him. How did he create that environment? So let's think about it.
자, 메시아를 보내기 위해서는
So in order to send the Messiah, again, he has to he has to create an external environment so that he can come. So that has to be created by the foundation of faith and the foundation of substance. And what's the foundation of faith? It's the vertical relationship between God and the central figure. In that time, for example, it was Jesus. He created a foundation for Jesus to come. So basically, Jesus had to become one with God. So that's the foundation of faith. And what's the foundation of substance? The horizontal relationship between the central figure Jesus and Cain, which is the human kind. And that's how he could send Jesus. So what do you think, up to where does he have to, what does he have to achieve? He has to achieve not only one thing, but all the different 5 stages. So just like we learn in the divine principle, so if the Messiah creates a family, a tribe, then and then so for Jesus to be able, for the Messiah to be able to come, we have to have a nation that is ready. And so basically that's how God decides on where to send the seed. So how did the God create the nation for Jesus to be able to come? So because you've heard the earlier lectures, I'm not going to talk very deeply about it. I'm just going to talk about Israel a little bit. So Israel, how it started. The north kingdom. So it was the north kingdom was Israel was destroyed, and then later came again. So I'm going to explain again. So King Saul, what kind of king was he?
Who was the next person?
Who was the next king after King Saul? And which one was the next one after King Solomon? And after Solomon? So I think Europe doesn't know. Africans will know. Because they studied a lot. There you are. So there. Now you see, all of a sudden, we got very confident here, and he gave the answer. So that Solomon's child was. So there were 2 different tribes in Israel. And these 2 is. Yeah, I said. So during this 12 tribes, they were divided. And they started fighting. So these 12 tribes were divided. So these 12 tribes were divided into 2. So then 10 became one, and they created one nation, and then the other 2 did the southern kingdom. And these ones were the young ones. These 2 tribes decided to fight in front of the king.
원로 대신파인 북왕파가 말합니다.
Old and young.
So there was a
이스라엘 민족은
war between the old and the young
외침을 많이
tribes.
당했습니다. 피곤합니다. 지쳤습니다.
So again, the olds were very tired and they lost.
지금 이스라엘 민족에게는
So now,
필요합니다. 라고
the Israel
많은 원로 지파인 북왕파
said they needed rest.
그때에 젊은 지파가
So then the young people got very angry and said,
무슨 소리입니까?
"What do you mean?
지금 지쳤다고 생각하지 마세요.
Don't think that you failed.
지금이야말로
From now on,
이스라엘을 새로 세워야 됩니다.
we have to create a new Israel."
지파하고
That's what the young
나이 많은
Israelites said.
북왕국 지파하고 싸우기 시작해요.
And again, they started fighting. But
결국
the
나라가 나누어지게 됩니다.
North Kingdom.
남왕국파와 북왕국
Indian
지파가
became.
이스라엘
And then at the end, they were divided
나라로 나누어지게 돼요.
into different countries.
두 나라로 나누어져가지고
So once they were divided,
BC 722년
in 722 BCs,
원로 지파로 구성되었던
and
이 북왕국 지파가
the North Kingdom
아시리아의 멸망을 당하게 됩니다.
네?
아시리아의 멸망을 당합니다.
After they were divided, the Israels were in the North Kingdom and they destroyed by Assyria.
분리가 되면 망하는 거예요. 그리고 BC 586년에 젊은 지파로 구성됐던
So in BC 586, the South Kingdom again was destroyed by the Babylons.
그 젊은이들은
So the young people
바벨론의 포로로 잡혀갔어요.
again were taken by Babylon.
포로로 잡혀가서
So once,
종살이를 하게 된 거예요.
so they became slaves to the Babylonians.
그리고 BC
And in
535년에
535,
이 바벨론
this Babylon that fought and won, they got destroyed by Persia.
멸망시켰던 이 바벨론이 페르시아의 멸망을 당하게 됩니다.
Yeah. So basically, these Babylonians that actually destroyed Judah before, now this time got destroyed by Persia in 535 BC. And at that time, the king was Dores. So then he ordered, let's go.
페르시아의 여러 나라들이 지배를 받더라도
So he said, even if we get
자기 민족이
conquered by different
본래
nations,
땅으로 돌아가서
we will have,
페르시아의 지배를 받아라.
we still have to go back,
라고
and
도레스가 칭령을 내립니다. 왜 그러냐면
we still have to go back and fight for our own country. Why?
통치를 쉽게 하려고
Because he thought that would be easier.
자기네 나라의 지배를 받더라도
So even if they get conquered,
땅에서 모여 있으면
but they still stay in their own country,
자기네 나라 땅에 돌아가서
they come back and they still come back to their country.
받으라고 명령했던 것입니다.
So even if they get conquered, they still have to come back to their own
그러니까
country.
이스라엘 민족들은 이 나라 저 나라에 흩어져 살았는데
So
이 고레스의 칙령
So
때문에
again, they were fighting and they went to different countries up and down, but still, at the end, they came back to Israel.
그래서 먼저 나이 많은 원로 지파인 북왕 지파가
So, for example, the old ones that were fighting before,
그런데
the North Kingdom, they did not come back, but the young ones,
They don't want to go back.
they didn't want to go
포로
back.
생활했어도
So even
70년 동안 지배를
so
받았어도
for 70 years,
다 이루었기 때문에
the Babylonians worked hard,
권력도
and
조금씩 만들어
even when they were destroyed or they had problems, they still came back
할 것이 없었어요.
to Israel, but they had nothing to do.
만약 이스라엘 땅으로 돌아간다면
So
바벨론에 자기들이 만들었던 모든 경제적인 것을 다 버리고 가야 돼.
so they thought like, okay, if I came back to Babylon, that I have to work and give up everything that
이스라엘 땅으로 돌아가지 않으려고 했어요.
so they didn't want to go back.
원로 지파들 즉 북왕
So the
지파는
old ones
이미 이스라엘 땅으로 돌아가서 이스라엘을
came back.
새로 건국하려고 준비를 하고 있었습니다.
and they were ready to come back
근데 젊은 지파들이
to establish a new kingdom in Israel.
돌아오지 않으니까
But because the young ones did not come back,
계속 바벨론을 찾아가서
they still went
이
to
남은
Babylon,
젊은 지파들이 빨리
and they
이스라엘로
told the young ones,
돌아오라고
please come back.
1차 설득, 2차
So the
설득,
first war, second time, and the third one.
140년이
So for 440 years,
바벨론의 포로로 갔던 젊은
they
지파들이
got,
이스라엘 땅으로
they slowly
돌아오게 되죠.
did their best to make the young ones come back to Babylon, to Israel, sorry.
예. 그리고 이들이 이제는 남왕국 지파, 북왕국 지파가 하나로 모여가지고
So once the old ones and the new ones came together,
재건국하게 됩니다.
then the new kingdom was recreated.
처음에 돌아오자마자 이스라엘 사람들이 했던 것이 뭐냐면
What was the first thing that they said when they left?
우리나라는
First they did
여호와 하나님이
build the
지배하는
So the first thing was to build their church when they came back.
하나님을 모시는 집이 필요하다.
So we need a place to be able to, we need a house to be able to pray to our God.
이스라엘의 위상을 다시 세우는 일을 시작을 했어요.
So then again they started the new recreation of their country.
두 번째는 뭐냐?
What is the second thing that they did?
족보를 새로 만드는 것이었습니다.
They made a second.
데이빗의 혈통,
So the first one was the restoration of the lineage and family,
데이빗의 혈통, 솔로몬의 혈통만
and then
받아들여서
thanks
족보에 넣고
to Solomon again they did the restoration of
족보에서
the
빼버리고.
nation.
여러분들 이거 들으시면서 느낌 없어요?
family tree.
아버님 혈통을 중요시 여겨요.
So if you look at this, it's very, very similar to True Father's life,
그렇기 때문에 이스라엘은 선민.
or True Father's preparation to come.
그 혈통을 중심 잡고
So
복귀에
centered on the lineage
하나님의 역사적인 기반이기
and
때문에
centered on the foundation of God for the providence of history of God for creating this. They were able to actually come, be prepared for the Messiah. So even though they were being destroyed by Babylon, they still came back to recreate Israel and had decided that. So in 313, these Persians that actually recreated Israel got hurt by Alexander's.
At that time, 20 years old, Alexander.
So Alexander at that time was 20 years old. So for 30 years, because up to he was the year 30, he made in such a way that all Europe was unified. So in 10 years, just in 10 years, because he was 20 when he came in. So do you know what you can do in 10 years? So Alexander, because he had a revelation from God, and he knew that God uses him, he just said, I am going to make all of Europe unite in 10 years. And this is really hard for us as a human being to understand or to think that it's possible. But he could. So I can see some people that are starting to sleep. If you're sleeping, I'm just going to leave.
Foundation Day, 기원전. Foundation Day.
그래서 이 페르시아가 알렉산더의 멸망을 당했고 실질적으로 BC 63년에 전 유럽이 로마에 의해서 통치를 당하게 됩니다.
So basically, there was the beginning of the Roman rule after in BC 1963.
여기는 유럽입니다.
So this is Europe.
그렇죠? 이 유럽이 진한 이 갈색이 뭐냐?
So what's the orange one?
로마에 의해서 직접적인 지배를
So
받았던
this is
23개국이고요.
the ones the orange one are the ones that actually directly got in contact with the Romans.
이거 알고 계셨어요?
Did you know that?
예. 그러니까 로마에 의해서
So
전 유럽이 통일된 나라를 구성하는 것입니다.
Rome wanted to make all Europe one country.
이 전 유럽을
So if all Europe becomes one,
통일하고 그
then
중심에
then Israel will be
성장시키고 준비하셨습니다.
so everything will be centered on Israel. Why do you think so?
보십시오. 어떻게 이루어졌나?
So how did that happen?
이때 유대인들은
So at that time,
로마의 지배를
there was the messianic expectation of the Jews.
성전 건축을 하고 있었습니다.
So they were expecting,
국보를 새로 세웠습니다.
and they created a new
이스라엘은 영원히
foundation, family.
하나님에 의해서
Everything centered on God. Everything is going to be centered on God.
그리고 이 실험 문화가 전 유럽을
So
강타하기 시작했습니다.
this influenced the whole Greek. This brought the Greek influence and culture to Europe.
No borders.
그리고 국경선이 없어지면서
And so there was
이루어졌습니까? 민족
no borders
대의원이
between the
이루어지면서
different countries. Everything.
국제 결혼,
There was abolition of
교차
national
국제
borders
결혼이
and ethnic,
일어나기 시작했습니다.
and then there was cross-cultural and exchange marriages between the different countries.
그리고 언어는
And then language
하나의 통일된 언어로 만들어졌으니
became one.
헬라어로
There was
통일이 됐어요.
one language as well.
헬라어. 자, 이 헬라어로 통일이 됐지만
And once this became, so they used their language.
공통어는 헬라어였습니다. 이때 당시.
So they used their language.
언어 통일이 됐어요.
And it became one language. It was all united.
23개국이 다 헬라어를
It was Hilla language. Sorry, I don't know that language. So Hilla language.
자, 예.
Oh, Hellenic. Thank you.
자, 교차 교체 결혼.
So there was cross-cultural marriages,
언어의 통일.
unification of languages.
누가 주장해?
Who made it? It was True Father. So basically, True Father did exactly the same thing, didn't he? So this, so God actually created an environment for the Messiah to come down, and that's when Jesus came. And
그리고 로마는 정치적으로
the Romans also
국제 고속도로를 만들었죠.
created an international highway.
뭐죠?
Which one is it?
국제 고속도로 이름이
What's the name of the highway?
에그나티아.
Egnatia.
그렇죠?
Yeah, is that right?
다 통일되면서
So
동서남북 고속도로가 만들어졌어요.
So then when all of Europe became one, they created this international highway.
그거 알고 계셨어요?
Did you know that?
에그나티아.
Egnatia Highway.
그 유럽 사는데 왜 모를까?
Well, you guys are in Europe. I don't understand why you don't know.
그리고 로마의 법과 행정도
So then the Roman law and administrative system as well
유럽 전체 나라에 좋은
was
법을 다 모아가지고
also, they basically gathered the different types of good administrative system from different countries and created one common law and system.
이게 에그나티아입니다.
That's Ignatia.
이게 하늘에서 공중에서 찍은 인공위성에서 찍은
So it has been taken from pictures. Sorry. That's the international highway.
에그나티아라고 표현했습니다.
Well, I don't know what it is, but I call it Ignatia.
한국에서는 에그나티아라고 하면 되겠어요.
We call it Ignatia in Korean, so it's Ignatia.
여기서 쓰는 용어가 그렇다 해서 이 국제 고속도로가 만들어졌어요.
So they created this international highway
2000년
for 2,000 years before.
이 고속도로에 가보면 어떻습니까?
So when you go on this road, How is it?
바닥이 뭐로 돼 있어요?
How is the sea?
아스팔트가 아니라
It's not made. It's made from stones and not asphalt.
그렇죠?
Yeah, is that correct?
수많은 역사가 흘러도
So even
그 도로가
even though the long time is passing by and we've got like different.
유럽의 여러 나라를 가봐도
I mean, it's been a long time now, but it's still there. It's not broken or anything.
그리고 여러분들도 잘 알다시피
And you guys would know
1500년,
that
2000년
in one,
된 건물인데도
even if though it's 1,500 year old, 1 or 2,000 years old building, they still are standing.
네. 그리고 어떻습니까?
How is that?
단순한 건물입니까?
It's even a very simple building, but it's created by stone,
예술 작품입니다.
and that's artistic.
이 일들이
These
2000년 전에 벌어졌던
are the different things that happened 2,000 years ago.
현재의 건축 기술로도
So even the things that happen
이해가
currently,
안 되는 불가사의한
it's
내용들이 또
completely very strange because we cannot understand it, what happened and how they did it in the Roman years.
왜 하나님은 이 유럽을 로마에 의해서 통일하게 하고
So basically, God made in such a way that the Romans would create this feeling of bringing all of Europe together and created an environment so that Jesus would come. So they even created an environment where people will have cross-cultural marriages and other people would create a law, they created an international highway. Everything that was even there 2,000 years ago is still there today. Can you imagine? Who is that for? It was for Jesus. Because he had created an environment for Jesus to be able to arrive. So you guys are living in this time, but what in this Europe? But why do you think it was made? It was created. This environment was all created because of Jesus' arrival. So let's read this together, please. A. Everyone read, please.
D. C. D. E.
Is there anything for me to? There's nothing more for me to explain, is it? For God created an environment for the Messiah to be able to come. For Jesus, He created an environment for Adam. He did that in 6 days. He created the environment. He made it in such a way that Adam and Eve, a foundation so that Adam and Eve can live. And He sent Adam. For Jesus, for the second time, He didn't just send Him. He created an environment on the national level so that through Rome, through the Romans, so that it would be able to be created. So for Jesus to come, God actually did all the possible conditions for His arrival at that time. Do you understand? Well, let's move on. I will just move on quite quick because I have to tell you the most important things. So let's look at the slide number 5. The person... So what environment did He need? Did He create for the second advent? So, as we said, there was no way that He would not have sent. There's no way that He would send someone without creating this environment. So again, as you know, He did this after creating this environment. So he did create an environment for the second advent to come.
이스라엘 민족은 나라가 있었습니까 없었습니까?
So was there a country for Israel, for Jesus?
나라가 있었습니까 없었습니까?
Was there was there a country for Jesus to come?
이스라엘은 나라가 없었습니다. 로마의 지배를 받고 있었습니다.
It was only the Romans.
그렇죠.
Yeah?
자, 참 아버님이 오셨을 때
When true father came,
대한민국이라고 하는 나라가
there was a
존재했나요? 안 했나요?
country called Korea. Was it in war or not?
없었습니다. 누가 지배를 했습니까? 일본이
It was-
40년 동안 지배를 하고
It was basically Japan
아버님이 오셨습니다.
l-
예수님이
hurting Korea,
Invading.
invading Korea for 40 years.
40년 동안
40 years.
Yeah.
다른 나라의 지배를 받는
So again, in this kind of environment where for 40 years this country was invaded,
자, 2차 세계대전이
that created environment for this to for our true father to arrive.
일본이 패망하게 됩니다. 그러면서 만들어진 게 뭐냐?
So what did he do?
자, 2차 세계대전이 끝나면서
When
만들어진 게 뭐예요?
when the
세계대전
Second World War finished, what happened?
UN.
UN.
The UN was created.
UN은
What's the UN?
하나님을 믿고 따르는 민주주의 국가.
It was basically an organization that was created for all the
로마를 중심하고 통일됐던
able kind of nations to
Then it's
come together.
하나님을 인정하는
So basically, the countries that actually believed in God all over the world, or around 43 countries, 23 countries, sorry,
강대국이
all these strong countries, they actually made a pact that they're not going to hurt weaker countries.
하나에 대해서
So these 43 countries,
3개국이 했지만
these 23 countries
하나 되었습니다.
became all of a sudden 50.
지금은 193개국.
Now they are 130.
93. 993.
그래서
193, sorry.
유엔이 만들어졌습니다.
So that's how the UN was
예수님
made.
때는 국가 단위의 로마를 중심 삼고 23개국이었지만
So when
참 아버님이 오셨을 때는
so there was just one country when Jesus came, which was the Roman Empire, and then when True Father came, this was created, which was 23 nations coming together. So, but they were like one organization, one country, because they were all united together, and then True Father came on that foundation,
어느새
World level.
on that world level.
그리고 유엔을 주축적으로 이끌었던 나라가 어떤 나라죠?
So what are the countries that are in the United Nations at the time?
USA.
Was USA.
그렇죠.
Yeah.
아메리카는 한 주가 한 나라의 사이즈입니다.
So
State.
in Adam's time was one state.
Same
그러니까
size as normal.
아메리카가 만들어진 것은
So that was just like same size as one country. But slowly, here, for example, in England, you know, we are also part of it.
그리고 이 미국이 50개 주는
For example, this 50
다민족이
States
모여 사는 나라가
of United States, the 50 states,
이루어지게 됐습니다.
also had cross-cultural marriages. Secondly,
유엔이
The United Nations.
2차 세계대전이 끝나면서 세계 공통어가
and also
영어가 됐습니다.
there was a very interesting thing because the world had one language was English, isn't it? After the United Nations.
예수님 때와
So just similar
아버님 때
as in Jesus' time.
세계권을 중심하고 유엔을 중심하고 한 나라.
So again, it's very similar. There was a national level for Jesus, it was the Roman Empire, and it was the Roman language. And then after that,
그리고 미국은 2차 세계대전이
for the world level, it was for True Father, it was ready,
동서남북 고속도로가 만들어진.
and they made the highway as well between north and south, east and west.
왜 이런 환경권을 만들었을까?
Why do you think he made that?
하나의 언어권,
One language, cross-cultural marriages,
전 세계를 하나로 묶는
all the world
하나님의 중심한
in
유해.
one.
왜
For example,
만들었을까?
centered on the United Nations. Why do you think it was made?
참 아버님을 보내.
This was created for the arrival of our true Father.
자, 그래서 한번 읽어보겠습니다. 자, A.
Let's read together, everybody. A, everyone.
B. C. D. Understand?
Do you understand?
설명이 필요하나요?
Do you need any more explanation? No.
왜참
Who's that?
객관적으로 메시아입니까?
Why is true Father the Messiah?
역사시에 있어서
In
하나님의
history,
보내시기 이완 환경권을 만들어 놓고
through
그
God made
아들로 보냈던 역사.
God made the foundation for the Messiah to come, and in that time He made that foundation twice. It was the first time when He sent Jesus, and the second time centered on America and the United Nations. He sent the third Messiah, the third Adam.
역사시대에 다른 비슷한 내용이
This is very similar. There are very similar phases in history.
Please tell me if you know
왜
anything
아버님
apart
메시아인지
from these two.
이해가 되세요?
Do you understand?
지금
Now,
이 UPF에서 평화대사들을 중심하고
centered on the peace ambassadors,
지금 네팔이라든가
for example, in Nepal,
대만이라든가
Thailand,
또 저기 필리핀이라든가
and Philippines,
이 강의가
this
여러분 첫 시간하고
lecture.
그리고 두 번째 듣는 이 강의를 통해서
just like the first and the second,
성직자들이 전도되고 있어요.
they are becoming
pastors.
pastors are coming as
제가
well.
미국에 가서 강의를 하는데
When I went to America and gave the lecture in different states,
관계 맺은 미국 목사들이
the
많아요.
many pastors from America came.
그 사람들이 얼마나 감동을 받는지
I can't even tell you how much they were very inspired.
왜 화도물이 메시아인지 객관적으로 정말로 증명이 됐습니다.
They really understood how and why our true Father is the Messiah.
그런데 감동이 없는 것은 시간이에요.
But the only people that don't have any feelings are our members again.
그래서 왜 당신은 감동이 없으니까 제가
Why?
질문하니까
Why don't you have any expressions and feelings?
역사적인 사실을 몰랐어도 아버님이 메시아인 걸 알았으니까
Then they just said, well, even if we don't understand all this, we know that he's the Messiah.
그 얘기를 하다가 미국 식구들이
That's what the Americans say. So then we were laughing, but
메시아가 이 땅에 와서
the Messiah came,
온 증거가
and we need
분명하기 때문에
proof, and we need to understand clearly
세상에 소개를
and be able to proclaim.
아까 우리 협회장님 또 우리
So even Reverend Song,
미세스
Mrs.
송께서
Song.
말씀하셨지만 이 비디오 하나를 통해서 블레싱한 우리의 2세들의 문화가
so for example,
영국에 지금
here in
많이 이렇게 나오다고
the United Kingdoms, for example, we saw this blessing on the second generation, and
객관적으로 우리의
slowly
삶을 증명해낼 때 세상 사람들은
slowly
감명
we can. I believe the people outside will be very touched.
자, 참 아버님이 누구인가?
Who is true Father?
하루의 모든 초점과 관심은 메시아에게 있습니다.
He's the Messiah.
그리고 그 메시아에 대한 확신을 가지고 있는
So you
빨리
or we
메시아의
should be able
오심을
to understand
선포해서
and proclaim why He is the Father. He's the Messiah. If we want to be able, God's hope is to liberate humanity. And
자, 그래서 우리가 객관적으로 메시아성에 대한
so then we have to be able to understand more about the Messiah.
강좌를 제가 좀 마치고요.
So I'll finish this small lecture and I will go to another lecture. I think it's this one. Okay. I'm just trying to get to the right slide. Bear with me.
자, 그래서 참 아버님이 메시아인 이유가
So again, I'm going to try to explain why true Father is the Messiah.
아담 해와가 살 수 있고 먹을 수 있고
So,
집안의 환경을 만들었고
so God created an environment, a foundation for Adam to be born, and then thanks to the Roman Empire, this foundation again was created by God for Jesus to arrive. And in that time as well, there was a lot of cross-cultural marriages, and there was a way for spreading God's word even through this one language. And during the third Adam's time, which is our true father, the United Nation was created. And so again, that was on the world level. And in Jesus' time, it was in the national level on the Roman Empire. But now, with true father, centered on the United Nations, it was a world level. And centered on America, there was a possibility for spreading God's words, and that's the environment He created. So He sent this first, second, and third Adam, and yeah, I think so. He sent the first, second, and third Adam, and these were the evidence that we can see. Do you understand? So you guys have to be Christians. You have to understand. You have to witness to Christians. Sorry. Really? It's a very important time that's coming up. So exactly, there was as you can see in the Bible, true Father revealed exactly a new explanation of the Bible and explained it clearly. So He even explained how it was God's responsibility to bring about a good environment for the Messiah to be born. So again, after this environment was created by God, the person He sent was the first, second, and third Adam. So it's not like, okay, if I want to be, it's not because I wanted to be a Messiah, I wanted to have the mission, I wanted to complete something. It's not like that you can become a Messiah. It has to be an environment where God has created for you to come. If not, you cannot be. Do you understand? So the first. So what's the Messiah's, the basic condition for the Messiah to come? So there should be a baby seed first. Secondly, there should be an environment created for the Messiah to be able to come. So, true Father, God has to create this environment. Do you understand? So,
아버님이 보내신 근거가 사실은 이 세계 1차 세계대전이 끝나고
So after the Second World War was over,
과정에서
the First World War was over, sorry,
아버지는
in
1910년
1919, True Father was conceived.
대한민국은 일본의 40년 지배를
It was after Japan was invaded for 40 years by the Korea was invaded for 40 years by the Japanese,
나라를 찾겠다고
and at that time it was about finding one's country back.
종교 지도자들에 의해서
So centered on the religious leaders,
독립운동이 일어납니다.
there was the independence movement that started.
비록 나라가 없었지만
So there was no country at that time,
우리 대한민국은
but we
하나님이 지키는 나라라고
we felt that Korea was a chosen land by God.
부다가 온다.
So we knew that he would come from here.
또
Buddha, for example, would come.
정도령이라고 하는데 그걸 통역되는 거예요. 이런
So we
사상들,
thought,
메시아의 사상들이
again, there were so many theologies that said the Messiah would come in our country.
3월 1일 날
So on the
독립운동이
on the
본격적으로
on the 1st of March,
그때
1920, there was an independence movement that started, and before that, True Father was conceived 3 months before.
이때 3월 1일은
And on the 1st of March,
양력이 아닙니다.
it's not from the current calendar, it's
저는 학교에서
the lunar calendar.
역사를 공부할 때는 이 3월
So,
1일이
Even though I studied in
그
school,
기념하는
they
날이
kept,
양력이기 때문에
we believe and we keep
3월
hearing
1일
about the
독립운동이 양력인 줄 알았어요.
about the 1st of March. We celebrate the 1st of March,
근데 음력 3월
but
1일이었습니다.
it was actually on the 1st of March on the lunar calendar, not the current calendar.
그때의 음력이 아닌 그때의
So
양력으로 따진다면
he's saying the same thing.
4월 1일입니다.
So if it was, for example, during the lunar calendar, it would be the 2nd of April, 4th of April, sorry.
이 4월 1일을 기점으로 해서
So on the 2nd of April,
나라가 없었던 선민족 국가 대한민국에 하나님이 그 순간만이라도
even though there was no country, so Korea wasn't existing, he had created a foundation for people to feel and want Korea to exist. So on
잉태하게 되었으니
the
그가 10개월 후에 태어났으니
so for example, 10 months later, he was
이
born,
독립운동이
and just before,
3개월 동안 지속됐는데
for 3 months before he was born,
임신하는 겁니다.
3 months before he was born, there was a march, there was an independence movement.
1월 6일 참 아버님이 태어날 수 있는 조건이
So again, this foundation was created before he could be born.
understand?
Do you understand?
자, 예수님하고 비교해 볼까요?
So let's compare a little bit with Jesus.
자, 예수님은 로마의 40년 지배를 받을 때
So
말구유가에서
Jesus, the Roman Empire, before Jesus came, the Roman Empire was invaded for 40 years.
자, 참 아버님 태어났을 때
Before True Father was born,
지배를 받으면서
Korea was invaded by Japan for 40 years.
화려한 집에서 태어난 것이 아니라
So he was not born in a nice house.
쓰러져가는 총알집에서
He
태어났어요.
was born in a manger. Same with True Father. He was not born in a house.
이때에 독립운동을
So
시작한
again,
여인이
the lady that started this movement was Yoon Kwon-soo. She was a bit like Jeanne d'Arc in Europe, a young girl.
이 유관순이
So Yoon Kwon-soo
16세의 나이
was 16 years old,
나라를 되찾겠다.
and she said she's gonna get her country back.
한 것이 아닙니다. 대한민국 사람들은 대부분
So the Koreans, for example,
나라를 찾기 위해서
they-
일본이 지배했던 나라를 찾기 위해서
they know-
독립운동을 한 것으로 알아요.
They know Yoon Kwon-soo as someone that actually did her best to make Korean independent from Japan.
역사를 깊게 보면
But if we see
유관순이
it,
독립운동을 하게 된
if we
배경은
see it deeply, the reason why she started it
젊은 여자들
was because the young
시집도 안 간
Japanese-
16세 이하의 여자들을 잡아다가 위안부로 팔아갔어요.
because the young Koreans were sold to Japanese for slaves. So that's why she started it actually. So it's because she had a conscience of purity in her mind, sexual purity. So it was a movement of conscience, and was
Second purpose was
so the second purpose was
to find Korea. Right.
yeah. So that was second purpose to create Korea. So that's probably one of the reasons why True Father created in Korea, in Sunmun University, this Sungyol Hakwa, which is pure love studies. Because when she was 16, and she was just like Eve before the fall, and she wanted to be able. She went through this indemnity course to restore Eve before the fall. So what kind of person is Yugonsu? So I would just say, just like I said before, she was like Tamar. Tamar, for example. She knew that, centered on Judah, she knew that she had to create the lineage of Jesus. And then she was able to create she was able to create the seed. And again, Yugwansu knew that she had to restore Eve. And so she started this event. So again, so then Yugwansu did it on the national level. So that's why she created this independence movement where everyone had to basically joined in. Do you understand? So then maybe at the moment True Father wants to create a movement, group of Yugwansuns, small Yugwansuns. So it's English, so you understand this very clearly. So things that you know, I'm just going to start crossing. I'm going over quickly. So this is Chungmunim, her dream. The dream of the two dragons that ascended to heaven. I think you know about it. What is it? Oh yeah, for the golden dragon. These birds at the bottom here, the golden birds, are birds that are waiting for the Messiah, and they usually were there for 3 years on the house of our true parents before he was born. Okay, things that you know, I'm just going to really turn the page. I think you know very well True Father's birth situation. He was born in Sangsa Hamlet, Dokyeong Village, Cheongju, North Pyongyang, in number 2221. In the north. So that was the north of Pyongyang, even not just North Korea, but the north of the north. So so for example, it's a chosen village. That's what it means in the Chinese character, chosen village. And then the middle characters is basically mean full of God's love. Sangsan is ideology. So basically to have a heart for the person at the very top. God, which is God. So these are the Chinese characters we're trying to explain. So our true mother is Pyongan Namdo, which means again Pyongan, someone who loves peace, but in the south. And again, so So someone that was born
True
from
mother.
true mother. I don't know. Sorry.
버거면이 아니고 안주읍이죠.
So
안주읍.
Anju-up is Truth Mother was born at that time.
만들어서 살고 계신 거죠.
It's a place where God enters and lives
그리고
with you.
뭔지 아십니까?
What do you think?
신의리입니다.
Shin-i.
신의리.
Shin-iri
하나님의
is
주소예요, 주소.
the address of God. Oh, Shin means God. Iri means address. So Shin-iri, address of God.
하나님의 주소가 있는 곳이에요.
So that's a place where God is, the chosen place, like we said earlier. So that was
야,
the
정말요?
village. Very funny that his address had all these meanings in Chinese characters.
참 아버님과 참 어머님은
So true father and true mothers
동등한 그런
had
흐름의
some
내용이
kind of a very interesting similar flow of
예, 여러분들이 안 들은 얘기만 할
life. I know it's something that you haven't heard, so that's why I'm going to speak
참
about it.
아버님이 태어났고 참 어머님이 태어났습니다.
So yeah, then that's how true father was born and true mother as well.
자, 이것도 여러분들 아시죠?
Do you guys know this one? You know the history of the name of our true father?
그 썬명문 하면
Sun Myung-moon.
영어로 하면 썬 하면 태양이고
Sun is sea.
그다음에
Sun.
Oh, sun.
문 하면 달이죠.
Moon
Moon
means
is the
그래서
sun.
moon.
차이니스 랭귀지나 코리안 랭귀지나 그 잉글리시 랭귀지가
So it's very interesting that they're very similar in both Chinese, English, and Korean, the meanings. That is quite interesting that they have similar meanings.
의미가 해석이 같아요.
It's all just the same. It's funny.
그런 이름을 갖고 태어나셨죠.
Yeah, so he was born with that name.
그리고 이제 덕원면에서 태어나셨습니다.
So that's where he was born.
그리고 참 어머님이 태어난 거 안주는 가깝습니다.
And the true mother was born in a very near area, not too far from there.
참 어머님.
Just where he had the red one, Anjugun.
그래서 참 어머님의 생가는
That's
원래
his original birth home.
C자였습니다. C자 영어로.
It was in a letter. It looked like a C. His
C자의
house.
모양이었는데 옆에 있는
But
건물들은 다 없어지고
there was no other.
요 I자만 남았습니다.
There was the different houses that were beside have disappeared. So now it just looks like that.
원래 여기는 이렇게
Normally over
집이
there,
있었고,
there was
여기
another
집이
house here. There was another house there,
있었고, 여기 집이 있었고,
and another one
여기
here,
집이 있었습니다.
and another one there.
약한 23
So
가구가
there were like
살고 있었습니다.
23 families that lived there.
지금 일자밖에 안 남았어요.
So that's the only part that's remaining now.
자, 이 참아버님의 외모, 뭐
So these are the external features of
이런
a true
내용들을
father.
여러분들이 다 아시기 때문에
I'm sure you know all this.
네, 그냥 넘어가겠습니다.
So let's move on.
여러분들이 그냥
You guys,
쭉 읽어보시면
if you keep reading,
그래서 여기
oh, let's look at this beautiful picture.
앞에서도 말씀드렸습니다. 1차 아담의 신유세 이전과
So this again, as I said before, this is
2차
Adam
예수님의 신유세
before
이전과
he was 16.
참아버님의 신유세
And
이전에
this is true father as well when he was, this was his life before he was 16, which means basically like first and second Adam.
하나님의 집게 아들로 와서
It was just like
하나님이 창조한 세계
unfallen Adam.
삶을
So his life was basically about studying nature and observing.
1차 아담 본연 아담이나 2차 아담
So the first Adam, the second
3차
Adam,
참
the
아버님은
third Adam, our true father,
공통점이 뭐냐?
what's the similar point?
16세 이전에는
So before they were 16,
타락한 인류를 구원해야 될
they knew they didn't know that they had to be the savior.
5세 때부터 하나님의 음성을 듣고
They all heard
타락한
true fathers. They all heard God's voice when they were 5, and they understood that they were about themselves. But when they were 16, they understood completely that they were the Messiah and had to actually bring and restore humankind back. So again, it was when Jesus was 16, when True Father was 16, that's when they got the revelation from God about being a Messiah. They had their own self-awakening.
Yeah.
So that's the
Self-awakening.
the self-awakening. Then their self-awakening when they were 16.
하나님의 아들로 왔지만
So they came as the child of God, and the moment they realized was when they were 16.
자, 그래서 식물연구하고 쭉 했죠.
Oh,
그렇지.
no, no, it's true, it's wrong.
왜 틀리죠?
저는 있습니다.
네?
아, sorry.
버전이니까 어제 버전. 그래도 틀려요? 네, 그러면 2강 한번 보세요.
Sorry, this is the old version. Can someone change it to the new version, please? We have to go. It's not working. Your father.
영어 버전은 이유밖에 없어요?
These are the only one you have in English.
아니 이거 뒤에 이걸 없잖아. 그 다음 이거 다음에 그 다음.
맞는데. Oh,
그 다음 여기 있잖아. 그대로 있는데 왜 아까 막 넘겼어요?
맞아요. Sorry, he's confused because it wasn't showing before.
그 결과가 뭐냐?
So, what was True Father's realization when he searched for the truth through the natural world? He understood that everything works in pairs.
이 쌍성 제도가 뭐냐?
So,
중요한 개념입니다.
that's a very important thing to understand, very important concept.
여러분 완성의 조건이 뭔지 아십니까?
Do you know what is the completion of
Condition.
the condition to complete?
완성의 조건.
The condition of complete for the completion of
조건은
humanity
이걸 쓸 때입니다.
is that all things in nature are created in pairs.
혼자 있으면
If you're alone,
완성될 수 없어요.
you can't be completed.
쌍이 있어야 작용이
You need an object, you need a partner.
나오고
Then you get the energy.
제2의 합성체가 나오고
Then you'll be able
자녀가
to
나오고
have.
생산물이 나옵니다.
So only if they are pairs,
그래서 완성의 조건은
then there can be
혼자
reciprocation of life.
쌍을 이루었을 때
So when there's
사마고님이 자연 세계를 연구하면서
so when True Father looked at the nature, then he realized that everything was separated and created in pairs, and that everything needs to be completed by pairs.
그래서 원리 강론에 하나님의 이성성상의 논리, 모든 쌍쌍의 논리가
So
이 자연 만물을 통해서 얻어진 결론이었고.
so basically he understood the principle of creation and
여러분들 원리 강론이
through the nature.
부산 범례골에서 완성된 것으로 알고 있지만
So he understood that things can get completed
16세
in that way. He understood many things through nature, but when he was 16, that's when he understood even more that completion will only happen if there is a partner, a pair.
그래서 아버님의 이제 여러분들은 이제 로드맵은 이해를 하셔야 되기 때문에.
So because you have to understand this clearly, I'm gonna.
이거 천명을 준비하는데. 아버님은
The preparation for heaven's decree.
1935년 이전에는
So before 1935,
한문을 배우셨어요.
he studied Chinese characters.
왜 이때에
Why do you think at that time he studied Chinese characters?
일본이 지배를 했어요?
Because they were invaded by Japan.
일본은
And Japan,
완전히 일본말만
Japanese people wanted you to only study Japanese,
가르치지 않았어요.
and they didn't teach you Korean.
못하겠어요.
You were not allowed to study Korean.
그러니까 정통성이 있는 집안
So the people from the villages, some certain villages,
일본 학교에 가지 않고
they didn't go to some clans didn't go to the village to the
한국의 정통적인
schools
교육
and decided to study
한국말을 가르쳐왔어요.
Korean by themselves in certain Korean schools.
그런데 아버님이 1935년에
So from 1935, True Father decided,
평범한 인간이 아니라
I'm not just a normal person.
16세 때
after he got the revelation by God in 1935, he understood that he has to know everything in the world, or more languages. So he studied Japanese, and he studied Chinese and English. And then he said he has to study more. So in order to, then he graduated from this university from Japan, and this is how he's. This is the wrong slide actually. Next is not. 나도 그래요. Sorry. Right? Sorry. 잠시만요. When he was 16, he realized that he felt that he actually has to save humanity. And so he went to tried himself to see different religious studies and teachers. And then he tried to understand them. What was it that was similar? Who am I? So these were the fundamental questions that all of them had. What is the purpose of life? Is there any world after death? Does God actually exist? Is God powerless being? Why does so much pain exist on this earth? If God existed, why hasn't He resolved humankind's problem? So he realized that these are the fundamental questions that most of the religious leaders, as well as teachers or people of faith, wanted to resolve. So then he said, how can I actually show them or prove them that I know that I'm the Messiah? So then he started writing about the creation, and then he started creating the divine principle slowly, and then he continued that way. And that's how he did it, to be able to answer these questions. So now again, the perspective changed through theology and Christian faith. At that time, True Father understood that we have to go beyond human thinking and align with God's will. We have to perceive the purpose and direction of life prior to receiving heaven's degree. So we need to understand the reason for living and how to liberate the world from sin and evil. So even for just one thing, which was about sin and evil, he created a book that had so many chapters to be able to understand this. So again, we studied the Adam, Jesus, and True Father's life, their childhood years, and we realized that before they were 16, they all had a similar life. And then and that after their awakening, at 16 years old, then they understood that they had a job to actually bring back fallen humankind into this earth. So then True Father prepared heaven's degree, and through the nature and the creation in the divine principle, he studied the order of God's creation and the original world and put it in the first part of the divine principle, which is the creation. So the first Adam, second Adam, and third Adam, if you think about them, how could it be that they have such a similar life? So, in that way, when we see this, we can understand True Father a bit more deeply. We can understand his life a bit more deeply, how he tried their best to do what Jesus could not do, and how Jesus tried his best to fulfill the mission that Adam couldn't fulfill. So the first, second, and third Adam were all different people,
사명을 놓고
but they had the same
사람이라고 하는 것을
mission,
이해할 수가 있습니다.
and you can understand it now.
자, 그러면
So let's have a break, please.
20분부터 3시 20분부터
And from 3:20, let's start again.